Hey, this is Greg Labanov, game developer on Chicory, A Colorful Tale, and today I'm going to show you our level editor. So this is a blank level, just like an empty grid. I hit the spacebar, I go into the game. I can walk around as our friendly painting dog Pizza. But yeah, just an empty level, nothing in it. Let's put some stuff in it. So there's basically like three basic layers to every level. The first is the terrain, and the way the terrain works is actually a lot like the painting in the game. So I've got these kind of like different colors I can splash down, and they put down different types of like terrain. So I'm just gonna, here's like a bunch. This blue one will come in as water. So if I like go to the game right now, you'll see, yeah, there's just a bunch of different blobs. Yeah, I just like paint. Like this is kind of looks like random stuff, but this is the fundamentals of it. The shape, the way that the terrain renders and like the grid that it renders on is actually the same as the painting grid, which is nice. So that the paint can kind of line up nicely with the grid. You paint along the lines and stuff. It's all using the same kind of logic. So that's like handy just from a technical perspective, and it also makes the levels really fun to make. So, like to actually give the level some shape, we'll put some elevation. So that's a different kind of color. It's just like this, like kind of green, platformy thing. And if I just drop like a wall from it, drop like a wall from it like this, and then go into the game, you'll see it's like kind of this like raised earth area. So you have this wall and then this like raised area. You can't get up to there. This is like a solid to the player. Yeah, and like so I just kind of like paint, like different sort of blobs and shapes and stuff. That's kind of the big advantage of the level of working like this is that, you get really nice organic shapes, and depending on like, different areas will have really different kinds of like shape language and stuff. And have just really different feelings. But yeah, basically I just kind of like build the terrain by hand like this. And you go into the game, you see, yeah, here's like some platforms and stuff. You can also add like different elevations. So you can have like, this is like kind of a level 1 elevation, like a level 2 elevation as well. Maybe just like kind of blocking the top of the screen like this, and just flood fill that and that and that, and then drop like another wall down from there. See, this one has like a taller wall, and it kind of like smartly lines up so when it goes down to like the level 1 elevation, the wall's shorter, and when it drops down to the ground, the wall gets taller again. Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. Oop, there's a visual bug right there. We'll fix that. Yoink. Just like little edge cases in the way the terrain works. But yeah, so this is kind of the basic, this is like, basic idea for how you make the shape of like a level. Of course, all this is solved. The player's just stuck down here. If I want the player to be able to get up to there, I need to paint down this kind of green ramp color. So that kind of makes it so the player can walk from, like lower elevations to higher elevations and vice versa. So it shows up as this like kind of white area. Now the player can walk up to here. Cool. So now we have a kind of a basic terrain idea. We can put down some objects. So there's lots of objects in the game. Obviously, there's the player character. We want to make kind of a fun, interactive little level thing. So let's put down some of these mysterious purple squares. And if we put them down here and then we go into the game, you'll see they magically transform into giant flowers. So these are like flowers. The player can like walk on them and gets a different, like a bridge, but then they're solid down here. And if you color them, they shrink down. So you can kind of see, like, you put down the shape of the terrain, you put down some objects, some things the player can interact with. All cool stuff. Let's say like maybe we're like in a forest, so we can add in like some trees and stuff. Put like a tree here and like a tree over here. They have these kind of like blue boxes around them, so you can see the player like can't walk through. There's like kind of colliders. So if we put trees like all around here, now it's like the player has to walk in from the bottom here, and all this upper area is just like solid. And maybe just for flavor, we'll put like a couple trees up here in this high area as well. So it just feels kind of denser and foresty. Yeah, cool. So, and then obviously, like everything in the game, just like, color it in and stuff. So, okay, let's make like a goal for this level, like something for the player to try to get to. We've got these like lost animals. So you put this thing down, go into the game, and you'll see like there's just an animal sitting there now, and if the player walks up to it, they would be able to pick it up. But usually animals aren't just like sitting randomly out in the open like that. Usually they're like hiding in something. So we can put like a tree maybe up here with it, and then if we click on the animal, you see it has this kind of attributes panel over here. And we can attach it to this tree here like this, and then we go into the game. Animal's invisible, but now this tree's shaking. Oh, what's going on there? And you click on a couple times, and the animal pops out. So it's like a lot of objects don't have attributes, but things like this animal, which have kind of custom settings per level, like they will have an attribute where you can attach it to stuff. But yeah, cool. So this is kind of like a nice little like layout for the level, and then go over these flowers, walk over to here, pick up the animal. Nice, looks great. So now let's. This is kind of the basics now. So the last little layer is the decorations. So this is kind of where everything kind of comes to life. We've just got tons and tons of these as well. I think the one I want to go to is, I guess, Gen for general. Is that the right one? Oh yeah, okay. So we got these like kind of like different like little props. We got like little grasses. These are basically just like not necessarily not super interactive, like little just decoration pieces for the level. You just kind of put them around. Like unlike the trees, which have kind of like different layers that animate and like ways to interact with the paint, these things are just like, they usually just very very simple objects. All they do is just sit in the ground. They can be colored by the player. That's about it. So we've also got, so I can place them by hand, obviously. There's also I've got this useful button, this random placement. I click on that and it just kind of puts down a bunch of, whatever folder I have open, just puts down a bunch of things from that randomly across the level and tries to space them out. And that's a great way, just quickly fill out a level with little random details. And it also does things like it'll flip them. I can actually do it by hand too. You can flip it left and right. I can also rotate things, and I can scale them and stuff if I want to. So I can do this. I mean, I would never do this, but I could do this. Yeah, so there you go. It was pretty quick, and now we have this like level with all these little decorations and things. Some decorations, so like these bigger grasses, they kind of like pop and animate when you paint them. Other ones, like these little flowers and stuff, sometimes we'll just leave them transparent and they won't animate. They're kind of meant to just feel like they're part of the ground, so that just feels like the ground has texture without necessarily like being covered in objects and stuff. Another thing, okay, so like now once we kind of have, let me find like some other examples here, like foothills props. Okay, cool. So you can put down some like some of these things, right? We got like rocks and stuff, which again they don't have any kind of interaction. Put them down, but by default the player, like, they don't have any collisions either. The player can just walk through them, unlike the trees. So usually kind of as a last pass, what I'll do is I'll go back into the terrain editor and I can hand paint these kind of invisible collisions. And the reason I do this by painting instead of attaching it to objects is just so that, like, depending on case by case, I can kind of paint kind of blobby collisions so the player can like kind of smoothly go around them, and depending on the shape that I need or how I want to guide the player, I can kind of paint unique collisions. So that's how we do it that way. So yeah, these things now have collisions now, but it's actually painted into the level and kind of uniquely shaped for that. But yeah, so that's all looking really cool. The last thing I kind of want to show is just that. So this is like one level. If I hit the minus button, I can zoom out and you see that I can actually get a view of like all these other levels that are surrounding that one. You see how like all these other levels are connected and stuff. This is kind of where I do a lot of the big editing. If I right click on a level, it pulls up some attributes. I can set like, like what's the music for this area, what's the ambience, like what kind of color palette does it have. So I could change like what colors the player can paint with in different areas. I can also copy and paste levels, and I can copy and paste like level settings. So I'll just spend a lot of time sometimes just like zoning out and staring at this map and just kind of looking how different areas connect and looking for different problems. Like these areas don't connect very well, or I feel like this part's not very well paced, and go in and make little edits to try to make levels better. Look at like lots of things like that. But yeah, so that's a pretty basic overview of everything that our level editor does. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope that was interesting.